doesn't quite fly the way I want it to. Let me just quickly... Amazing, let's go. Hey everyone, I'm Jonas and today I'm here to introduce to you the new OMPHOBBY Flight System 3 in the M2 EVO MK2. Now OFS3 is the latest innovation in RC helicopter flight control, which took us 2 years to develop from the ground up. It is a fully fledged flowerless unit with full parameter access to PIDF gains. It is firmware updatable. You can set it up through your smartphone, but also through an LED menu right on it. It is natively compatible with Express LRS and Crossfire and can send back telemetry data from the ESC to your radio. All without any additional sensors you need to plug in, just straight from the base package. OFS3 delivers better flight performance and you will be able to feel that difference in every situation of flight. You will notice this immediately. Now for the M2 EVO MK2, we decided to keep the base M2 EVO airframe because many of you already have that and there was quite some potential left in it. So we just updated a couple parts, brought it up to date with what we expect from a micro heli today, and it is ready to go. Advantage for you: if you already own an M2 EVO, you have a very attractive upgrade path because you just need to swap out the main motor, the swash plate, maybe the skids, and the flight controller, and you're up to date. So let's start talking about OFS3. Now OFS3 is this black box right here, which is a fully integrated flight stack with an ESC board for the main and tail motor and a flight controller up top for your helicopter. It can connect to S-Bus, DSM, and Express LRS receivers, but we're also planning to support more protocols in the future. You have a LED menu, much like the last iteration of OFS, with a push button through which you can navigate to adjust some basic parameters, which can help you adjust the helicopter to your liking, as well as collective endpoints and servo centers, like we had before. If you want to dig deeper, the M2 EVO MK2 and OFS3 come with a Bluetooth module, which connects to the side of OFS3 like this. And then you can connect to your smartphone and adjust everything to your heart's content. From your smartphone, you can then also upgrade firmwares. And I'm going to show you that now. So first off, you're going to power your model. This one has the Bluetooth module permanently installed. There we go. And now we can go in on the app, and I'm going to start a screen recording real quick to show you this. In order to connect to OFS3, you're just going to open the app, and if it knows your Bluetooth module already, you're just going to be prompted if you want to connect. So hit OK, and it will immediately jump in and load all the settings from the flight controller for your convenience. What you see here is a couple of values that all go from 1 to 9. These are the exact same values that you have on your LED menu on the flight controller. So you have gain, rotation rate, feed forward, and expo. Expo you cannot set up from the LEDs, the other 3 you can. And for the Germans, pitch, in this case, is this axis. I know you like to confuse that one. So yeah, these values are available for pitch, roll, and yaw. And if you want to dig deeper, you can see this toggle down here, which my model already had enabled. This is the parameter set toggle. If you switch that to expert, the model will load a different parameter set, which you can set in expert settings. Now the defaults for the expert parameter set are also the defaults for all LED setup items at 5 flashes. So if you have everything set to 5 and the expert settings at default, both sets will fly identical. And now let's take a look at what you can adjust in here. You have a lot more granular adjustments for the rotation rate. So it's not just 1 to 5, it's 10 to 40. You can adjust your PID gains for pitch, roll, and yaw freely, whatever you want to do. You can set your control loops completely off if you want. Not recommended, but you can, because we wanted to give you the ability to play with this. You have the ability to set up your feed forward, your control deadbands. Deadbands, I know this is a huge thing for many people because the old OFS had like a 8-9% deadband around center. You can fully adjust this now. You can go to high deadband numbers, you can go to low deadband numbers, whatever you want. Once again, you can set up expo. You can set up the vibration filters for the axes. In case you bend something and want to do that one last flight, you can, I don't recommend it, but you can keep flying if you filter a bit more. You have TALY filter, you have TALY PI gains. You can also change your cyclic integral limit, and you can have a special mode where you can let the flight controller set these throttle values for you. So if I switch this on, the model is going to beep at me, and now I can specify the throttle values in the app down here. Like, for example, I can do 48% throttle, I can do 75 and 85, and I don't need to fiddle with throttle curves in my radio anymore. All I need to do is assign a switch to a channel that goes -100, 0, +100, and boom, I'm done. I'm going to set this back to 65. What I also can do is I can go in and change my mechanical settings. If I come in here, enable servo trim, I can change the trim of my servos. The model is automatically going to inhibit all control loops and also going to lock the motor so you don't try to fly like this for you to precisely set up your servos. And now you can also just level your swash and then move the collective up and down all at once. It's super convenient. If we go back out here, we can also simply adjust our maximum collective right from the app in both directions, obviously. Gonna set that back to 85. We can set our cyclic ring limits, as in how much cyclic pitch do I want? Set that back to 80. And we also have the ability to change the S-bus range for Futaba or HTX and Ethos, and do a static calibration of the gyroscopes. With all these abilities, you are able to make this flight controller truly your own. You can set up anything and everything. Every single parameter that I used over the last 2 years for development is open to you to adjust. Do whatever you want. This is gonna be fun. And if you happen to end up at a setup that you don't like, for example, if I mess up my yaw gains and my pitch gains, you can just hit reset, hit yes. It is going to revert to all the defaults the model shipped, but without messing up your mechanical setup. So if you go in here, I just reset. Look, all my mechanical settings are still there. My servo centers, my collective setup, my cyclic ring setup, it is all still there. Just the flight controls have reset to defaults. It is so simple now to set up this model like this. I am totally in love. You can just land, pull out the app, make a little change, hit save, and keep flying like nothing ever happened. And in the future, when we bring you new features, updating the flight controller is an absolute breeze. You just go over here to About. That will kick the model into bootloader mode. You can then just go to OMPHOBBY.com, go to the new support section, firmware download. You will find all the firmwares for OFS3 here, once this is actually public. Download it, go to Firmware Update, go in here, select the file, latest is this one, and it will start updating your flight controller. Okay, this is going to take a minute now, I'm going to skip this. And there you go, it's done, firmware is updated, and you can go right back to flying. Now that we have explored the abilities of the app, let's take a look at what we changed on the helicopter. So new things about the M2 EVO MK2. First off, the new main motor. The motor now has a larger stator and a higher kV, so it is able to make more power and rev higher. Revving higher is especially important for left yaw authority for TALY. If you give it a left yaw input, the main rotor is going to speed up, and the tail performance with this new motor is effectively comparable to a collective pitch tail. You're not going to believe how good this is. Next up, we got a new swash plate with improved control geometry. The inner balls are now longer by 15%, which increases cyclic deflection in turn by 15%. Together with OFS3's also increased cyclic ring capabilities, we get a lot more maneuverability out of the model. We can maneuver this helicopter with higher rotation rates, higher control authorities, and more punch in the cyclic than you have ever seen before. The cyclic is faster, more precise, more snappy, more crisp. You're gonna love this. Then, of course, the entire flight stack is new, as discussed previously. And we decided to give the Mark II a stylish wide landing gear, which shows up incredibly well in flight. I could not believe how well I can see this helicopter now, even when the sun is setting and it's kind of hazy outside in the winter. It is just so much more visible. The remaining airframe of the M2 EVO MK2, the entire main rotor head, except for the swash plate, all the mainframe components, all the tail rotor components, and even the canopies, they are exactly the same as before. So you, the customer, can experience OFS3 without buying an entire new helicopter. You have a very easy upgrade path by just replacing motor, swash plate, skids, if you like the white, and OFS3, and keeping the rest of your model the same, and it will be a completely transformed, new and up-to-date helicopter. With all these performance improvements, you will not be able to recognize this helicopter anymore. It will fly better in every single conceivable aspect. You're gonna love this. I also want to show you the telemetry capabilities of the model. I'm gonna use my already set up heli for this. And you can now see that we are getting telemetry items in here. I got my voltage, my current, my RPMs, and my milliamp hours. And if I spool this model up, you're going to see, just quickly make sure this is in frame, easy. You're going to see and you could see how quickly the telemetry data came in. This is absolutely real time. You can fly by this. These values can now be used for warnings based on capacity or voltage. You can also warn based on the ESC temperature. You can watch your rotor speed in flight. Some sensors that I've not shown yet are the vehicle attitude. You can see the degrees you have on pitch and roll. You can log the maximum angles of your flight. You have knowledge over your model, and that improves the control you have. Telemetry is amazing. I don't even want to fly by timer anymore now. This is the best thing that could have ever happened to a micro helicopter. And I told you about it being easier than ever now to set up a radio for OFS3 due to our software throttle mode. And I've got a point to prove. So I have a completely new M2 EVO MK2 here, which I only ever took out of the package to upgrade the firmware to whatever is going to ship with the helicopter. And we're just going to look at how you can get in the air with your new M2 EVO MK2 as quickly as possible. Step number 1. We're going to take the canopy off, we're going to take the Bluetooth module, plug it in, and we're going to take our receiver. In this case, it's a Radiomaster RP2. Plug it in. It is already bound to my radio. And now we are going to create a model memory for this helicopter. I'm going to use the GoPro for this to show you.
Falcon 9 is pushing downrange.
Switch on the radio. And this is going to be fast. We go to new model, blank model. Internal RF, CRSF, ID, whatever your receiver is bound to. Inputs, new input. 5 is the arm switch. This needs to be inverted because high means armed. 6 is throttle. Get a switch. High is motor on. Number 7 is self-level. Get this one. High is 3D mode. Want it this way. And number 8 is going to be my throttle. My software throttle switch. High is high RPM, so we are good. Then I'm just gonna add all the mixes for this so that these inputs are actually passed through to the outputs. 8, easy. And just because we can, we're also gonna grab telemetry. Now fire up the model. Make sure motor is off and disarmed. Go to the expert settings, scroll all the way down, software throttle on, and this model is now ready to fly. What do we have? Collective, elevator, aileron, self-level. I know the yaw is going to be right. Arm switch, lowest RPM. Do not try this one at home. As you can see, everything is working, the model is flyable. Easy going. That was maybe a minute of model setup. And even though I am someone who thinks you should never buy a product based on future software update promises, and I should know because I bought an iPhone 16 Pro, I want to give you a quick outlook on what we are planning. Number 1, more receiver protocols. For example, FrSky Fport, which can also support telemetry, as well as collective compensation for TALY action. You know, when you give a left input, the main rotor speed rises. This would cause your model to climb. So I want to look into how to reduce collective based on the RPM increase to get the model to fly more consistently. Of course, we're also out to flight even more flight performance in the model. However we do that, not gonna tell you yet. Being able to update firmware on a flight controller is an essential thing, and I'm so glad we can offer this to you now. OFS3 is going to be future-proof for years to come, not only because we can push firmware updates, but also because it is now based on a way more powerful processor, on a next-generation gyroscope and accelerometer. So this is probably the most future-proof flight controller in microhelis that you can buy today. And with that, I want to thank you so much for watching. I hope you learned something. I hope you learned a lot about OFS3. And I hope you're as hyped as me for the arrival of the next generation of flight controllers for microhelicopters. This is truly the biggest revolution since direct drive in microhelis, since we introduced the M2 in 2019. You have to try this. And with the M2 EVO MK2 being based on its predecessor, the M2 EVO, you have the easiest upgrade path ever in a microhelicopter for a new generation. And now the only thing that is left for me to say is, have fun with your new M2 EVO MK2, happy landings, and see you in the next one. Thank you for watching. Bye bye!